The nitrogen winds of Kepler 442 howled across the crystalline plains, each gust carrying microscopic silicate particles that could strip flesh from bone in minutes. Lisa's environmental suit had been compromised 3 hours ago, deliberately sabotaged by her own people. The Zenari didn't tolerate defiance, especially not from their High Council's daughter. She lay against a formation of methane ice, her suit's integrity at 18%. The heads-up display flickered warnings across her fatting vision. Oxygen reserves critical, internal temperature dropping, cellular damage accelerating. Her refused marriage to Commander Vexen had been political suicide. The Zenari Empire needed the alliance with the Obsidian Fleet, and she had been the bargaining chip. "I will not be currency," she had declared before the council, her bioluminescent markings flaring defiant violet across her temples, the Zenari equivalent of spitting in someone's face. They had exiled her to the surface, a death sentence masked as tradition. Through the methane haze, Lisa detected movement. Her suit's damaged sensors registered a bipedal signature, human configuration, but the power readings were extraordinary. No human should survive on Kepler 442b's surface without a full exoframe. Yet this one moved with purpose, cutting through the nitrogen storm as if it were nothing more than a morning breeze. Kivin had been tracking the energy signature for 20 minutes. His neural implants, military-grade and borderline illegal, fed him real-time data through his optic nerve. The figure ahead was Zenari, rare this far into the contested zone. More interesting was the biosign analysis. Failing life support, critical condition, but stable enough for rescue. He'd been called many things during his 12 years in the Colonial Defense Corps. Warrior was the kindest. Weapon was more accurate. The biomechanical augmentations woven through his muscular system allowed him to operate in environments that would kill unmodified humans within seconds. His dermal layer was reinforced with carbon nanotube weave. His lungs contained atmosphere processors, and his skeletal structure had been laced with titanium alloy compounds. Kivin was built for war, built to survive, built to carry wounded soldiers from battlefields that existed in conditions most humans couldn't imagine. The Zenari woman was unconscious when he reached her. Her suit displayed critical warnings in their language. He'd learned enough Zenari script during the border conflicts to understand. He ran a quick environmental scan. The storm was intensifying. In 15 minutes, even his augmented body would begin to struggle. Decision made, Kivin scooped her into his arms. Despite his strength, he was careful. Zenari physiology was different from human, their bone density lower, their skeletal structure more delicate. He'd seen human soldiers accidentally injure Zenari allies during evacuations, not understanding the pressure differentials. Lisa's eyes fluttered open as warmth enveloped her. Her suit's external temperature sensors registered an impossible reading, 37 degrees Celsius emanating from the figure carrying her. Humans ran hot compared to Zenari, but not this hot. Not in a nitrogen storm at -180. "Don't move," Kivin said, his voice processed through a vocal modulator that translated automatically into Zenari frequencies. "Your suit's compromised. I'm getting you to shelter." She tried to speak, but her oxygen reserves were too depleted. Her vision swam, consciousness slipping. The last thing she registered was the steady rhythm of his movement, each step calculated and efficient, carrying her away from certain death. Kivin's emergency shelter was a pressurized HAB module buried beneath a granite outcropping, standard CDC issue for long-range reconnaissance. He triggered the airlock with a neural command, cycling through the decontamination sequence while maintaining his hold on the Zenari woman. Inside, he laid her carefully on the medical bay, his fingers moving with practiced precision to remove her helmet. Her face was striking. Zenari features were generally more angular than human, with larger eyes adapted for lower light conditions. Her bioluminescent markings, normally vibrant indicators of emotional state, were dim gray. Critical condition. The med scanner confirmed his assessment. Severe hypothermia, oxygen deprivation, early-stage cellular crystallization in her extremities. He initiated the emergency protocol, flooding the bay with a breathable atmosphere mixture suitable for Zenari biology, higher argon content, lower oxygen concentration than humans needed. Hours passed. Kiven monitored her vitals while running system diagnostics on her suit. What he found made his jaw tighten. The damage wasn't accidental. Someone had deliberately severed her suit's primary life support coupling, then masked it with superficial impact damage to make it appear environmental. She'd been murdered, or left to be murdered by Kepler 442b's hostile atmosphere. Lisa woke to warmth and the steady hum of human technology. Her body ached, the deep, bone-level ache of someone who'd been pulled back from the edge of death. Memory returned in fragments. The council chamber, Vexen's predatory smile, the cold realization that her father would sacrifice her for political expediency. "You're awake." She turned her head. The human sat at a monitoring station, his broad frame somehow graceful despite the obvious augmentation beneath his skin. She'd heard of the CDC's enhanced soldiers. The Zenari military had tried to develop similar programs with limited success. Humans, it seemed, were better suited to invasive modification. "You saved me," she said, her voice rough. Speaking human standard felt strange. Her vocal cords weren't designed for it, but the medical bay's translator helped smooth the conversion. "Found you," Kiven corrected. "Thought someone might want you alive." "My people don't." The bitterness in her voice surprised even her. "I refused a marriage alliance. The Zenari Council doesn't tolerate that kind of defiance." Kiven's expression didn't change, but she noticed the slight tightening around his eyes, human micro-expression indicating anger, if she remembered her xenopsychology training correctly. "They sabotaged your suit," he said, pulling up the diagnostic readout on a holographic display. "See this. Someone with technical knowledge deliberately severed your life support, then covered it with cosmetic damage." Lisa studied the data, her bioluminescent markings flickering amber, analytical processing, problem-solving. "My father's chief engineer. He would have access." "Your father ordered this." "Indirectly. The council would have made the decision collectively, but yes, he wouldn't have opposed it." She met his gaze. "Why did you help me? Humans and Zenari aren't exactly allies." "We're not enemies either," Kiven said. "Not anymore. The treaty's held for 5 years." "A fragile peace." "All peace is fragile." He stood, moving to a storage unit and extracting a ration pack. "You'll need to eat. Your metabolism's been through trauma." Over the next day, as the nitrogen storm raged outside, they talked. Lisa learned that Kiven had been a combat medic before his augmentation, that he'd volunteered for the enhancement program after watching his unit die in a toxic atmosphere breach. The modifications had saved his life dozens of times since, but they'd also isolated him, too changed to fully return to human society, too human to be comfortable anywhere else. Kiven learned that Lisa was a xenobiologist, that her research into cross-species genetic compatibility had made her valuable as a diplomatic marriage candidate, and that she'd spent her entire life being prepared as a political tool rather than a person. "What will you do?" he asked on the second day. "You can't go back." "No," Lisa agreed. Her markings shifted to determined blue. "But I can go forward. There are Zenari settlements in the outer colonies, independent from the Empire. Scientists, refugees, free thinkers. Long way from here." "You have a ship." Kiven nodded slowly. "CDC scout vessel, but transporting you could be considered an act of aggression against the Zenari Empire." "Only if they find out." She stepped closer, her alien eyes meeting his enhanced ones. "You said all peace is fragile. Maybe it's time someone tried to strengthen it by doing what's right instead of what's political." He considered this. His orders were reconnaissance and monitoring. Nowhere in his mission parameters did it say rescue exiled Zenari nobility and transport them to independent colonies. But nowhere did it say he couldn't either. There's a supply run to Kepler 442c in 3 days, Kivin said. Independent Human Zenari Research Station. They could use a xenobiologist. Lisa's markings flared grateful silver. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Getting there means crossing 2 patrol zones. I'm not afraid of risk, not anymore. 3 days later, Kiven's scout ship broke atmosphere, carrying 2 refugees from different worlds toward an uncertain future. Behind them, the Zenari Empire would register the missing daughter as dead. Ahead, the independent colonies offered possibility, fragile like all peace, but worth fighting for. In the cramped cockpit, Lisa watched the stars and felt, for the first time in her life, like something more than currency. And beside her, Kivin flew with the steady confidence of a warrior who'd found something worth carrying beyond mere survival.